Okay, hello. So the use case for API automation testing we are about to see. I'm asked to present about how the postman tool can be used for API testing, how we can do the manual testing there, and how uh, postman collection file can be exported and run through some CI pipeline. So I had taken both asks, from my side, meaning I have taken the GitHub Actions route also, along with the Jenkins CI integration using webhooks. So we'll see one by one. Also, I was asked to check about the monitoring part through Pingdom tool also. So let's see one by one. So to begin with, uh, first we are seeing the API public API asset that's free. So I have taken this request response dot in. So where I have taken one, two, three, four, five, six endpoints. Uh, so get list of users, the first one out of them. So here, being a get endpoint, we do not have any request body to give as payload. And the headers section, if we observe, uh, this is just illustrative uh, for sake of demonstration. I have mentioned these things. These were manually given. So inbuilt default headers. Once we send the request, these things are getting generated. Ones that are highlighted in gray, a catch controller and a postman token. But apart from that, these things are manually what we add. So here, so this being a free public API asset, we do not have any peer token, access token, or authorization as we see in this tab. So if at all we have any authorization like basic auth or OAuth, all those things we can add here. Coming to the parameter side here, since we have this page equal to 2, that is treated as a query parameter since it is after this question mark area. And the purpose of pre-request script is meant for uh, providing any uh, scripting that needs to be run before the request is hit. Say for example, we need to generate some customer ID or a UUID that we generally see in banking projects. So such things we can create. This this place will act as a, a placeholder for creating all the synthetic data. So we can create there. On the next tab, we see this test section. Test section. Here we write the JavaScript test cases. So let me explain what I have done here. So first we are checking for the response code, what we see out of this particular request. The response code, whatever we are getting, is 200. Okay, now this 200 status code, is it coming right or not? First we need to check. So that is done using this if case. Then we are writing a postman test here, and the title for this test I am giving us a status code validation passed. And internally we are inside the pm.test method, we are writing a function to validate the status code. Pm.expect that pm.response.code this 200 whatever we are getting, that we are checking whether it's 200 or not by invoking this equals method. uh, from the pm.collections.variable get status code list of users, meaning uh, the expected result already we are storing that under one collection variables. So variables we can store them at uh, collection level, at the environment level, and the global level. In this case, I have taken a variable at the collection level, meaning at the parent folder level. So if we go to the variable section under the collection, we will see a status code list of users. The current value being 200, that is utilized here. Okay, so that 200, we are checking whether the postman response, what we are seeing here, is equal or not. The second test, what we are checking is for the schema validation part. Now, uh, whenever the endpoint is created, this response body, it will contain multiple uh, you know fields under this response body section. It can also have array of data like this. Uh, so this response body structure, as given to us through the contract, we can create the JSON body for that. There are a lot of online tools available for that. Example, under Liquid Technologies, we can create the JSON schema for the contract given to us. So how that JSON schema looks like, we can check here. Now, this schema has a page, a field, and that page we have declared here, and the type is integer. So what field name we should get and what data type we should get, these two things we are defining here. And additionally, we will have some section called mandatory or required parameters. Yeah, you see here this required parameters field. So here we can mention saying these are the mandatory parameters, and if we ignore some field here, then we are indicating that a field as optional. So in this way, schema validation we can do. So for that, we have written a pm dot test method. Whatever schema we are receiving through the schema variable declared here, that we are checking uh, using this method pm dot response to have JSON schema as the schema variable. And next test we are doing for uh, at the response body level, we can take any random field. In my case, I have taken the field called total. Now, if we want to validate the value of this field total, then what we are doing, we are writing a pm.test for that. Title of this test case I am giving as total field validation from response body. I'm writing this method pm.expect. What we are expecting is this pm.response.json, the entire response body dot total, meaning from the response we are checking this total a field, and that field should contain what value, to equal uh, the pm dot environment dot get total. Now for the earlier test case we have discussed about the collection variable. Now we have declared one environment here, and inside the environment called test, as we have selected here, if you observe under the environment section, we have returned this, we have created this environment called test, and inside this environment we are declaring multiple variables. One such variable will be your total variable here. Okay, so that is about this test case, whether the variable what we have declared under the environment section, that value is matching with the response body or not, that we are checking. Then uh, we have written one test case to validate for the email field under the data array section. Okay, so we are now checking for um under the collection variable, we have declared again something called as email. Okay, let's see that. So what we have declared here, it's lindsay.ferguson at request response.in, right? So what we are doing uh, for the collection variable ID, whatever we are passing here, say for example, that is 8. Okay, this 8 value where we have declared again under the collection variable. Let's see that. You observe here, it's the 8 value. So what we are asking for the ID value of 8, please check the email value whether it is Lindsay Ferguson, this value or not. So what we are doing for that, we are iterating through a array. Okay. So how we are doing that? Get the complete response body and then extract the data's array section out of that and put it inside one variable and have one placeholder variable again, empty placeholder for that. And then what we are doing, we are iterating over that data array and for every array inside the data response body, okay, every array item that we are iterating here, we are storing that inside one variable called r1, and if that r1 dot id is equal to whatever we are declaring inside the collection variable called id, in our case it's 8, when that 8 matches to this ID, then we are asking the array to go inside that array item, and then we are picking and validating the email field, whether the collection variable, whatever we are declared here, is not. So in this way, uh, we can go over any item within the response body and validate. Now, why we are doing this? The default validations what we generally typically do for API is the status and the schema. But apart from that, if at all there is a uh, business use case where they are asking us to validate this particular field should contain this value, then we can validate that particular business logic. Okay, then on top of that, these are response headers, whatever we are getting under the header section of the response body, those things we can validate. So one such example I have shown here, content type validation. So here we have declared through the global section. As I told earlier test cases, we have seen the collection variables, environmental variable. Now we are seeing the global. Where we see the global, again go to the environment section, click the globals area. You will find the variable called content type. So there will be certain variables that will be common throughout the across the collections we can utilize. Such things we can maintain under the global section. But there will be certain variables that are specific to uh, the environment. What we utilize for test may not be applicable for acceptance. So such things we can maintain under the acceptance area. I know as a separate environment file. And there will be certain things that are specific to the collections what we work. It may not work for other collections. So such things we are maintaining under the collections area. So this is one test case what we have written for the get list of users. Now, if we see the test results section here, whatever I have shown as separate test cases will be visible here under the results area. So this is what we are saying, whether it's pass or fail. So if we intentionally make any uh, item to fail here, then we can observe one failure. Say for example, if I'm instead of passing this uh, status code, let me say it should be equal to 201. Then what should happen? The first test case of status code validation should fail. It's saying assertion error. So these assertions we are able to achieve with help of these individual test cases. The second test case what we have written is for get single user response. Again, it will have the same set of test cases. So what we will do, we will click the entire uh, collection and we will run it once here using the runner. So here we are asking to run the complete collection file just once without running for multiple times. So that we are doing, and let's run and see. So it has completed once. So totally it's saying 27 tests have come and all are passed only, and there is zero failure and zero skipped cases. So this we can verify here. Now the individual test cases whatever I have written here is just to showcase that all the CRUD operations are possible. One for the get call, one for the post, and one for the update, meaning put and patch, delete request. Now difference between the get and post, we are just passing the request payload additionally compared to the get call. That's it, right? We are just passing this payload in the raw JSON format. That's the only difference. Uh, and when we go to the put endpoint, the same thing. We are just putting uh, the payload additionally here. Now, whenever we are extracting the response from the get call, we can store the response specific field values in some environmental variable and utilize it for subsequent test cases, just like a request chaining we can do. So as a use case, we can understand out of the list of users whatever we have in this test case. Assume that I want to pick one specific ID from that, store it in an environmental variable, then I can reuse that here in the get call. In that way, request chaining is also possible. And one request for the patch I have taken. So difference between put and patch, not entire record we want to update, but only a specific field in the response, specific field in the uh, record we want to update, then we can use a patch call. And one use case for the delete I have taken. So this is about the collection what I have taken. Just a brief on the manual test cases what we are executing. Now, since I was asked about the mocking concept also, I have taken uh, the mock API server also. So I have taken the same request response public free API asset only. Now uh, we have option within the Postman tool called mocking server, and here uh, we can so we can just say create a mock server here. Uh, So purpose of mocking, we do not have a asset API asset ready, but in order to consume that and utilize for our testing, we need to create that a dummy API asset and make it look like a real one. Now, if we hit create mock server, it's going to ask us for a detail like whether you want to create a new collection or select an existing one. I created a new collection and gave the path and say next. Say for example, I want to say request list dot in. Okay, and I say uh, request body also. In this way, one get call and one post call I have selected and clicked on the next. So here I can give the name for the mock server, which I have given here like mock API, and what environment we want to use for storing our variables. I can select a test, okay, environment, and I don't want a private server, so I've made it public and created mock server. And this is the mock server I created, this mock API. And let's see the collection file for that here. So one get call, here I have, so in the actual request response uh, API, there will be a get single user via user ID only. But just for simulation sake, I have written one test case for get user via the email ID concept. So here within that, uh, we have different mockings, meaning examples. One for a positive use case as 200 OK. So here we are declaring the status code to be a 200 OK. If at all it needs to be changed as a 201, we can mention that also here, like 201. It will say uh, created. Okay, instead here being a get call, we needed a 200. Okay, we have selected that. And what response you want, whether you want that to be uh, a JSON response or text one, all those things we can mention here. And what parameters I need, I have mentioned as email Balaji KVR. Okay, balaji.yahoo.com. Okay, and if at all we need access token, we can mention that here. So all mockings we have done. And a second use case what I have taken is for invalid query parameter. Say for example, instead of me passing a valid email, I am making it to be an invalid query parameter. Instead of email, I am giving a wrong query parameter name, missing L character. Then what should happen? The sample error message we can declare here. It has to be a 400 bad request. Other use case, invalid email ID. I give the query parameter name to be fine, but I pass a junk email. Then what should happen? The respective error message. I can define all those things. So this URL, if you observe, it is the URL generated by Postman. It's not some real domain name, but it's the some random URL that Postman creates for our testing purpose. Okay, back to the negative use case what we were discussing. Now here I have not mentioned a proper email ID, at is missing. So in such cases what should happen? I can define a specific error message here. And what if I give a wrong access token? It has to be an authorization issue. So I am declaring the response to be 401. You see, 401 unauthorized. Okay. Then what if I don't pass a valid, I don't pass the access token at all? Then also it should be an authorization issue 401. So similarly, we can define multiple use cases for uh, each test case. So such examples or mocking we can do here. So one more call I have written for the post request of the request response. Here we are creating a user based on the email ID. So one use case for the successful create, and one for the bad request, meaning some mandatory field in the payload we are missing, and invalid access token and absence of access token. So the same set of positive and negative use cases I have written for a post user. So this is about mocking. Okay. Now, okay, the next part we can see about the uh, monitoring aspect with the help of one uh, tool what was asked to me. I have taken the pingdom tool for that. So uh, when I was asked during the round one interview call, like what monitoring we are using, I had told about we are checking uh, the logs using a Kibana Elastic tool, and we have a sanity pack that gets scheduled and run for like every hour or something, as the the frequency defined in environment level, like test and acceptance different frequencies we will run. So whenever there is a report that we receive in our email saying that this particular uh, critical alert is there, we are going to check and work. But since there is a ask to check about the monitoring tools, and one such example what I was asked to check was for the pingdom tool, we are checking the uptime here. So I had tried a demo for this request response API only, uh, and the get list of users endpoint I had tried. And if we observe the logs here, you will see that it's always up only for the last 2 days since I started this uptime check. And the different response time, we're able to see a graph average to be like the biggest response time was 706, less than 1 only, 1 second. Uh, and if we observe the logs here, we should see that for today, every 1 hour we are seeing the response seems to be all up only, and the historical data also we can see by going to the each page level. Okay, so let's go to the very uh, last. So if you will see, Here also the same details via different servers we are able to see. So we can configure for different endpoints here and see their uptime. And there should be a way to configure for alerting also here. But as a sample try, I I have tried this particular uptime concept here, and page speed also I was able to see one option. So here the frequency of check was default 30 minutes. So for every 30 minutes, it's checking with at, a max of two request calls to the endpoint, whatever we are setting up here. And the load time seems to be uh, 55 seconds here. And the chart wise, if we are seeing uh, and it seems like for today 139 millisecond we are seeing between this 7:30 to 8:30 range. So this page load time also we are able to uh, pick from this uh, pingdom tool. So page speed we are able to determine here. So these two things only I had checked, and there was one more option for the real user monitoring also, uh, where a demo site was given talk community. So what are the different uh, parameters, real-time users, how much they are logging, how much active sessions we are able to see. So if we configure for our application also, we should be able to identify like how many users are active, what is the load time, all those things we should be able to see, like page hits per minute. Okay, so these parameters also we should be able to crack. So that's about the monitoring tool aspect. Now uh, we can check about the uh, CI/CD part. So I had taken Git and GitHub for uh, showing this demo. So I used two repositories, so one for the postman and one for the JMeter. Let me take the postman repo first. So in my local system, I had installed the Git tool, and the collection file, whatever we are exporting from here using this option called export, we can uh, share it in a JSON or Postman collection format. So I had chosen the uh, JSON extension file. If you observe this request response API, the environmental file called post dot the test dot postman environment dot JSON, and then the global file also I have taken. So collection file will be covered under the collection file itself. That the environmental variables under the collection, it will be covered under this JSON file itself collection, and then the environmental file itself followed by the global. These three things I have with me. So So I've placed them under a separate folder called files to git, and uh, said git bash here. So whenever we create a new repository under the GitHub uh, repository, GitHub account itself, it will provide us the sequence of Git commands what we have to do. So uh, we will first say git init. In that way, the git folder will be created as a hidden folder here. After that, whatever files we need to add, we can say git add. It will add all the files. Then the second command what we need to do is commit them using any message, meaningful message, say postman, uh, JSON files, we can say, and load it. The first commit, something like that, we can mention. So once we commit, local repository files are committed, then we need to add the a path to the remote repository using git add option, and then we can say git push, so that uh, the repository HTTPS location of that will be added first here through the git add command. Then we are pushing the files from here to there. If at all we already have files from there, we can do a git pull to load the recent files from the repository to local, and then do the necessary changes and then do the git push. So the files can be placed in the repository. Once we push the files, then we should have them here under the repository. This is the repository, and this is the HTTPS path under the GitHub what I was speaking about. Once we place the file here, uh, as I said in my use case, we are first placing it in the GitHub repository, then we are utilizing the GitHub Actions through a YAML file, or we can do the Jenkins. First, we will see the GitHub Actions here. So for that GitHub Actions, we need to write that YAML file. How we need to do that? Create that YAML file under GitHub those, and what we are saying here, we are providing a name for this YAML file, and what is the trigger we are talking about on push activity to what, to the main branch, and the job we are saying we need to run it. There should be some virtual machine on which we need to run this action. We are taking a Ubuntu server for that, and the latest is the tag name. It is a recent version of the Ubuntu server we are taking out. Different steps will be involved. First, we are checking out what, checking out the files under my repository. Then, what are the relevant tools that are needed to run this particular collection? Since for Postman collections to be run, we need a Node.js tool support. So we are first installing that. Version is being the 18. Then after that, we are installing the Newman and the HTML extra reporting part for that using these two commands. Then run the Postman collection with the installed HTML extra reporter also. Use the Newman run command. What we are doing? Newman run the JSON collection file name, environmental file name, and then the global file name. This dot followed by the slash is nothing but the root directory of our repository. We are indicating that. And reporters, both CLI level I need output and also the HTML report that we are doing. And the reporter support what we are invoking is using this particular plugin HTML extra, and where we need to store that under Newman HTML report.html. This is the path we need to do. So these things we are just uploading the HTML report as an artifact to our pipeline run here. We optionally we can download the repo also. This separate archiving action, whatever action we are invoking here using the upload, that itself is enough, but this is just a showcasing option for archiving. Separately we can do that. So demo that only I have given that. Now if you go to the actions here, so this is the GitHub Actions, and all the workflows whatever we have created for this particular repository will be visible here. One or more is also possible. In our case, we have created one GitHub action workflow only. Our name, whatever we have given in the YAML file, that is visible here. And inside that, so far, 8 times we have run the workflow. And if we go through the most recent one, we should be able to see all the steps what we spoke about inside that. Let's see. Under the main.yaml, we are first setting up the job. So what operating system image to be used, all these things are visible here. Okay, what are the different steps that are seen that is getting uh, what is the necessary actions for download, all those things are happening here. And second thing is the checkout repository. Whatever files in my repository are there, they are getting checked out for running this pipeline. The necessary tool support, whatever you are declared within the YAML file, like a Node.js, and then a Newman HTML extra reporter, all those things are getting added. Then run the postman collection with the HTML extra report. If you observe, all the endpoint calls will be visible here, and the respective test cases under each endpoint call will be visible. The tick mark mentioning the pass status or the fail status will be visible. Since we have mentioned a CLI option also in our reporting, that's why we are seeing this breakdown of details. So totally 27 assertions have happened. Now upload the HTML report as artifact. That step is also there. And the artifact download URL will also be visible to you. And the subsequent steps like a download, report artifact, archiving, okay, such things will be visible here. And whatever artifacts that have got generated, it will be visible under the summary section. Let's see that. If you observe here, this HTML report will be visible. Since we have mentioned a separate a step for archiving, that is also visible here. So we can just open it in the next tab. So that is going to download that HTML report. And if you observe, this HTML report zip file is available. We can unzip that, and the HTML report should be visible for you. So what this says, it says the summary of CLI report, whatever we saw there, those details will be visible here, and the list of, I mean, the runtime that is shown here, and then the 6 individual endpoints, whatever we called, and inside that particular endpoint, what is the response code, request URL, method, uh, time, how much it took for running, and the size of the request headers section or response headers section, and then the response body what we got, and the individual test cases what we wrote, all those things are visible here. Now similarly, for other endpoints also, we should have a separate folders getting created, and inside the folder we'll have the respective endpoint call and the respective test cases under that. And any failed cases, if at all they are available, that will be visible here, and skipped cases also. So this is about the HTML reporting part. Now we saw about the uh, uh, GitHub Actions. Now, let's see this task getting achieved through the Jenkins side as well. Now, we should have that jenkins.war file downloaded already. Let's go to the command prompt and say java -jar followed by jenkins.war file and followed by HTTP port on which I need to invoke this particular Jenkins tool. let's say for example I need to run it under 8081. So running from okay, so it's saying that open accept channel, it's unable to invoke. Maybe let's create it under some different HTTP port. It's still loading. We should see the final message as Jenkins fully up and running. Let's wait for that message. So it's saying Jenkins is fully up and running. So we will go to localhost 8083 and open that Jenkins. So Jenkins is launched. So I had created one a freestyle project for this postman. So I'm calling that as request response Jenkins run. So uh, within the dashboard section, there will be this manage Jenkins area. Uh, so first we need to do certain configurations here before we step into the freestyle project what we have created. Let's see that and then come back. Okay, so under the tools section and plugin section, so we'll have to install the necessary items. As example, this HTML reporter, the Newman, all those plugins we need to install via the plugins, and under the tools section we need to do uh, the path configuration. So we'll see all those things here. So if you observe under the Maven installation area, I've given the Maven configuration, though it's not relevant to us. But Node.js, if you observe, I have given the configuration here. So what are the list of packages we need? One Newman and also the Newman HTML extra. So these two things we have added. Now coming back to the freestyle project what we created. So here we need to do certain configurations. Taking unusually more time. Let it loaded. Meanwhile, we will see the recent run. So the same set of test cases, if you observe, the CLI level, we are able to see here, and then subsequently the HTML report will also be generated. If you observe the uh, summary of this particular build, uh, the HTML report should have got generated at the local system level under the path whatever we have declared. I will show that. So here under the configuration section, we have first given the source code management to be Git, the Git repository URL we are giving, and credentials one time we need to add. the username password, and the password in the sense of the pat token what we generate from the GitHub level. That pat token we need to give. Then branches to build, we need to select it. In my case, I've chosen the main branch, and this hook we need to enable here, this option under the triggers, followed by the environment. We need to provide the configuration for Node.js also here, and build steps, we need to add the a build step called execute Windows batch command. We need to give the newman run command for this postman collection to be run. And as discussed, it's the CLI and HTML extra, both reports we need. And the report generation, it has to be under results report dot HTML. And post build action, we are writing this particular step for publishing the HTML report. It should be under the Jenkins folder under the workspace, the freestyle project name, under the report, under the folder called results. As declared here, it's results dot report dot html, and the index page name will be report.html, title will be HTML report. So this is a sample HTML report what we were able to generate. Okay, the same as we have seen through the GitHub Actions. Under the results folder, we were able to generate that particular file. Now, let's go back to that GitHub Actions. Okay, and here, yeah, here under the uh, settings, uh, under the section called webhooks, we need to declare this particular webhook from here. Okay, so after logging in with the password of a GitHub account, I have given one a URL, payload URL here, followed by one a keyword called GitHub webhook. Now, what is the URL we have given here? This URL is nothing but the localhost URL of our Jenkins. Since localhost cannot be directly invoked, what we are now doing is we are utilizing one service called ngrok to generate a public IP for our local host, and we are utilizing it. Let's check that. Okay, ngrok is installed already. Now we will go to uh, command prompt, and we'll say ngrok. So the command should be ngrok http followed by 8083. Now, what it is giving to us, it's giving to us a HTTP ID. So this ID you pick from here. Okay, it will forward to the localhost 8083 only, and that ID only we are configuring inside the webhooks here. Okay, in real time we need not depend on the local host. It will be a valid URL only. But for testing sake here, we have utilized this ngrok service for generating a public IP. Okay, so that IP we have given here for directing to the Jenkins service, and this GitHub webhook is a static keyword that we need to mention as a suffix to this payload URL. Content type is application JSON, and what events we need to make this trigger. Webhook concept we are utilizing for invoking the Jenkins service for running the test collection. On what events we need to do this? It's just a push event or any activity that we do, or I can also pick anything from here. Whenever branch or tag creation, deletion, a code scanning, and deployment activity, forking, packaging like builds, everything, pull request, okay, pushes, all those things. Pushes is what we have selected there as a first option. Apart from that, what other options we are selecting here, those also can definitely be utilized. Okay, in our case, we are restricting to the push events. Uh, and we are just invoking this update webhook. In my case, to show as example, let's utilize this particular thing here. I've copied. It is with ending 244D. Okay, so okay, so this has come here. Let's say update hook. Okay, so in GitHub Actions, whenever any file updates happen through a push activity, we had written in the YAML file on push trigger, it will happen. So here we are doing this webhook activity for the Jenkins side. So this is updated. Okay, now what we will do, any code change in our postman collection file, let's change the name of this particular file. Let's edit this. Let's say extra as file name. Let's say commit changes. Generally we'll commit the branch to the commit to a separate branch, do a pull request, but for demo sake we are utilizing this main branch directly. Now we have done a commit. Let's go to our Jenkins. If you observe 8:48 time, now this particular trigger has happened. So with help of that webhook, we are able to invoke this also here. So that is the concept I was about to demo. So that's about the uh, postman uh, a tool used for API automation. I have demoed the mocking server concept. the monitoring tool part of Pingdom. With the limited research, what I was able to make within these last few days, though I have not utilized it as part of my project. But since you have asked, I have verified that also. But I would be happy to learn the extra features what we can do using monitoring tools, not just limited to Pingdom, be it any. Certainly, I will be able to do it. Then I have showed the use cases of continuous integration via GitHub Actions through the YAML file, and also the Jenkins also through the webhook concept. So that's it.